Hi, we have a capital update video again today, and we've got the pleasure of having Senator Kevin Kelly with us. Senator Kelly is from down in the Shelton, Stratford area.
Stratford, Shelton, Monroe, and Seymour is the 21st district.
All right, and you went to school where back in the day?
Back in the day, I'm a graduate of St. Joseph High School in Trumbull. Did my undergraduate work at Assumption College. Also have a master's from Fairfield and my law degree from the University of Connecticut.
All right, so infrequently have we ever had the pleasure of having a Greyhound with us. So welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome. And Kevin is, Senator Kelly is with Human Services.
I'm chairman on aging, chairman on insurance and real estate, vice chairman on human services and housing, and ranking member on regulation review. It's full plate.
Before we had the tie up here, it used to be the folks were able to get like 3 committees, but Senator Kelly's got himself 5 or 6 at last count. Depends on what happens next week, but
Right.
At least Human Services had the JF Day today. How'd you get involved in politics?
Well,
Probably the dinner table. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm the product of a Irish Catholic family, and of course, there's 2 things you talk about around the kitchen table. It's the church and politics, and so obviously I chose politics, and here I am.
Okay, and kind of, if I'm not mistaken, we've had this discussion in the past. Kevin's brother and my brother happen to be friends in Rhode Island, and it's somewhat, you've got like a mixed marriage family. They're not all Republicans, are they?
No, they aren't. My dad was a Republican. My mom is a Democrat. And so you had, and this is like my approach and the way I come to the table, even here, is that neither party's right nor wrong. They're different. And like the Kelly household, we just wanted to make sure that the family was well taken care of. And we didn't look at it, well, mom's got good ideas or dad's got better ideas. The ideas were for the family. And we listened to everybody, got all the perspectives on the table, and then moved accordingly for the betterment of the family. And that's really what I like to see when we get that approach here in Connecticut. And for the most part, we have. There's a little bit of Washington starting to creep in now, more, last session or 2, more than in the first few years that I was up here, where it's becoming a little bit more partisan on issues. But I think when both parties can sit down, have a true conversation, air their differences, and bring their perspectives, that really benefits the people of Connecticut.
Okay, and being an attorney with your own firm, I think when you started here, you were with some other folks, and you branched out. Is that the right way to say it? Branched out and started your own firm, and you are here full time, and you are at your firm full time. How does that work?
Not easy. It is very difficult. What I have is, although I have 5 committees, they're on the Tuesday, Thursday schedule. So technically I'm here 2 days out of the week. You might end up with another day here or there. And as a small firm, there's only 2 lawyers in the firm, it makes it very difficult to practice, but you have to do a lot of nights, a lot of weekends. You have to be committed to what you're doing. And quite frankly, what I say to most people is, if I didn't love what I do, in other words, I love the legislature, I love being a lawyer, I couldn't do this. You got to look at it as a seamless, almost a vocation for the law, and accordingly, it's not as much a burden or work as it could be. But nonetheless, it's still, there's a lot of things to do. There's always somebody to call and something to write.
Yeah, and there's always somebody here to bother you on one of the committees that you're involved in. To
There's
get
always
your
an issue.
perspective.
And as much as this is a part-time legislature, it really does command a lot of time.
Because that time is also taken up. In May we end, but then it's a full run, because this year is elections.
Election year.
But even on an off year, there's still a lot of work to do, planning for the next session and straightening out things that we've all screwed up during the prior session, or we find something out the prior year. And you do a lot of elder law.
I do. Predominantly an elder law practitioner. I do a little estate planning as well as probate. But I do predominantly elder law, which is a nice fit looking at both my committee work on aging, human services, and insurance. There's a lot of nexus to that practice, and it helps me stay current with the law, but it's also very, I think, beneficial to my fellow colleagues on these committees to have that aptitude and understanding, because in the area of elder law, Medicaid is a big factor, and to be able to take the Medicaid regulations and boil it down, not only to explain it in understandable terms, but then also to be able to relay it to a human example, that this is what happens, this is how come this policy is so important, because it can help people in this way.
Yeah.
And that's so powerful, because many times people, legislators will come and, I'm not going to say that there's a friction, but there's departments aren't always the ones that people want to go to get the answer. They're afraid that they're just going to get government's answer. They'd much rather hear, well, what does this mean to the people? And when they get that perspective, it resonates much louder with the members up here.
Yeah, and you know, in the Senate, when they're discussing things, they will go next door to the circle, and there's a room with a long table, and that's when it becomes important, because they're dealing with a particular bill, and they can say, Kevin, tell us what does this really mean? How does it really affect people? And that's why I continue to say we need more and more attorneys, people who really say, yeah, I can do this. Plus, we have attorneys up here that you can talk to if you are interested at some point in time in running. You might be 28 right now, and when you're 34, 35 years old, say, yeah, I've got a good understanding, and I think that I'd be good up there and run, because we really need a lot of people up here who can explain things. It's just the whole situation with judiciary at this time. There's 41 members and there's 18 attorneys. And it's, I've asked Kevin a few times, why don't you come over? Why don't you come over? And, he's already running, in essence, about five committees.
Right.
Yeah. So what are the most important, in a minute? What are the most important issues that you've got?
Well, the important issues on my deck, obviously we're looking at the Affordable Care Act and its impact, both insurance and through human services, and what is Connecticut's response to the actions that are happening in Washington, and how can we preserve and protect the Affordable Care Act and make sure that the promises that were made, that we get affordable, accessible and quality care are maintained for the people of Connecticut. And that's a big issue that's been involved in insurance. Then looking at aging in place initiatives. We got to make sure that we have, at least in my opinion, a robust home care industry, because as baby boomers enter retirement, we're going to see more and more demand on our long-term care services, and we can't afford as a state to keep putting people in nursing homes where it's 3 to 4 times the cost, almost $10,000 a month, as opposed to $3,000 in the community. So we're looking at how do we get more people to age in place, make sure we have the infrastructure. That's one of the things we dealt with yesterday with the contract in SEIU. But it's also to look at, the governor has put forward a number of initiatives. We got to make sure that the home care program, Medicare savings program, stay intact for our seniors so that they can afford to age in place and stay in the community. Not another easy task, particularly in these budget challenges, to balance those needs and to look at them. So we've got a full plate, and there's a lot of issues. You got to keep the taxpayers in mind at all times, but you also have to look at ways and through human services and affordable insurance as to how can we set the stage so that we can make an investment today, if you will, a government investment, in order to reduce, I'm going to say, Medicaid appropriations down the road.
And bottom line is always budget, budget, budget. So we'll see you next week, Kevin. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Likewise.
And congrats on your daughter with her track.
There you go. Looking forward to the spring season.
All right, good. Thank you very much.
Take care.